Well, Stephen Kinnock is Labour MP for Aberavon in Wales and sits on Parliament's Brexit committee. He says he'd back Jeremy Corbyn's proposal, but told me he has doubts as to whether it would succeed.
I think we have to be realistic. The story of the last 3 years is I don't think people have been realistic enough about what's achievable and about the parliamentary arithmetic. And it does look very challenging. We've seen the response from Joe Swinson. It's not clear to me how many Conservative MPs really, when it comes to going through the division lobby, will support a government that's where Jeremy Corbyn would be the Prime Minister. That is the sad reality of where we are. So we need to be ready with a plan B and a plan C. A plan B is where you would see potentially a government of national unity with a different MP at its head. I think we have to be prepared to support that as well. And if that doesn't work, then, as I've said previously, I think the only option then in terms of preventing no deal is the withdrawal agreement bill, which tragically Parliament never had an opportunity to debate or vote on.
Is it fair to say you would vote for a Conservative MP to become the leader of a government of national unity or a temporary government, whatever you want to call it?
For me, the political dynamics of it suggest that it should be a Labour MP who can command support across the House, because clearly we need to have something that's attractive to Labour MPs to vote for. But I'm not going to die in a ditch over that. I think it's got to be a balanced team with a good, solid proposal for what would happen next. In all of this, we've got to stop kind of being absolutist.
A very large number of your colleagues would have extraordinary difficulty in voting to put a Conservative in at the head of however time-limited a temporary government might be. They just won't buy it, will they?
Well, I would find it difficult as well. I'll be absolutely frank with you on that. But I say again, if we're serious about preventing a no-deal catastrophe, and that is our number one priority, all decisions that we make have to flow from that. By far the most preferable option is that we dispose of the Boris Johnson government, we put Jeremy Corbyn in, and we have an extension and a renegotiation based on a clear plan. But I do also think that when you don't secure your plan A, you've got to be ready with a plan B and a plan C. And if we're heading into, if none of these motions of no confidence and new government ideas, if none of them work, then it will be a binary choice between the withdrawal agreement bill and crashing out without a deal. And that's why I think we've got to make sure that is on the radar.
Stepping back from the manoeuvrings which we've been discussing, isn't the fundamental problem for those who oppose leaving without a deal that their tactics, their manoeuvres are so fragmented, whereas the aim of the government and its supporters is very, very simple. It is simply to leave at the end of October.
Yes, and that is the ace card that the extreme Brexiteers have always held. They've always known that the legal default position was to leave the European Union without a deal if there's no alternative in place by the 31st of October. I think it's unfortunate that Labour didn't stick to its guns and say, as we said in our 2017 manifesto, we accept that we have to leave the European Union, but we must leave with a deal that protects the jobs and livelihoods of our communities. And I think if we had stuck to that position, the waters would have got less muddied, and it would have been a clear choice between these sort of hard no-deal Brexiteers and leaving with a deal. And whilst I accept that the proposals brought forward initially by Theresa May were not good enough because they were a blind Brexit, the cross-party talks secured, in my view, a very attractive proposal. So I think it's a matter of great regret that we, in a rather knee-jerk way, rejected the withdrawal agreement bill, and that is what ended up with those who want a hard Brexit succeeding, because we put the future of the country then in the hands of 160,000 members of the Conservative Party.
Stephen Kinnock, MP.